Well, I didn't have Star Trek Strange New Worlds turning based on my bingo card for 2025, but it looks like we have just that with the season premiere of Star Trek Season 3 of Strange New Worlds last night. So this is pretty crazy as Captain Pike has gone full Christian. It is something I've not seen in Star Trek since the original series, which I'll talk about. But yes, that was a theme in the original series, which did get explored, and it confirmed, of course, that it was meant to be a Christian show, really, and it's gone way off the rails in recent years, as we know. Now, this is a pretty interesting development for the show, as it looked like it was edging the other direction into the whole woke scenario last season in season 2, but there's been some delays which of course change things, and we're going to get into this in just a moment as we talk about all things Star Trek and science fiction. I appreciate you guys being here. Please hit the like and subscribe button and join us. I am a science fiction writer myself, and I'm doing a very, very beautiful space exploration series next, which I want to stay in touch with you on. It's the most important possible thing here. I have a newsletter. It's in the description below. You get 3 free books for signing up: a sci-fi book, a fantasy book, and a superhero graphic novel. So a little something for everybody. Whatever you like reading, I've got it for you. That's the best part of being a fan over here, is I'm very, very prolific. And I have a great series called Valiant Frontiers coming out later this year. And it's a trilogy. It's going to be a beautiful, just back-to-back-to-back space exploration stuff that you will love, especially if you love like the 90s Star Trek. I think you're going to really enjoy this. So get in here and make sure you stay in touch with me, guys. It's in the description below. That's a $50 value just for signing up. Thanks for being here. I also have my Amazon links and my bookstore in the description below if you want to support right now. I appreciate everybody perusing and checking things out. It's all about the science fiction, all about the books here. That's what we're trying to build on this channel. So this is a pretty interesting thing. As Strange New Worlds hit Season 3, Star Trek did something completely unexpected. It turned Captain Pike Christian in one of the boldest statements of faith the science fiction show has ever seen. Strange New Worlds has thus far been much better than most of the new iterations of Star Trek. At times, it feels like it exemplifies Star Trek in a way that's been forgotten by the dark and edgy iterations of the show. That Discovery and Picard, it really felt like nothing like Gene Roddenberry's universe. Lower Decks had a lot of fun references at times, but it degenerated into over-the-top sexual humor, Rick and Morty stoner humor, which didn't seem to fit the ethos of Star Trek so much. While it's not perfect by any means, Strange New Worlds Season 1 felt like it was at least on the right track, having episodic adventures with neat original concepts that kept in line with a more optimistic version of the space exploration Star Trek was intended to be. Now, Season 2, I think, went off the rails quite a bit, and I do have my complaints about Strange New Worlds. A lot of the technobabbles over the top. They resolve crises that are absolutely absurd, in 15 seconds, like Discovery did. And this is kind of a hallmark of the Abrams verse. That's what 2009 started with Kurtzman, just hyper fast-paced stuff, which, again, doesn't feel right for Star Trek. Star Trek had that element of, this could really be a part of reality. We're solving problems that, sometimes they, you do come up with a cure fast or whatever like that. But it did it over the course of an episode in, a natural pacing, and I think the pacing of some of their resolutions here are a problem. The other major thing, of course, is lens flare, and I'm not even getting into the content really, but the lens flare stuff that started in 2009 also is so out of control in Strange New Worlds. You have just flashing and blinking lights and pulsing lights all over. It's like, I don't even know how the actors do their jobs, let alone if they were actually running a starship, how they would do their jobs on this sort of thing with that the lighting being like this across the board on the ship. It needs to tone down, and it's just way too over the top on that level. And the next final thing was, kind of the casting. Once I saw this at the beginning, there's way too many women and half-y lesbian-y type body type women, running around across this ship that just make this feel like a, again, generic slop sort of thing outside of the casting of Kirk and Spock, which was kind of weird. Not Kirk and Spock, Pike and Spock, sorry. And so that all made for a thing where it's like, okay, this is gonna go off the rails, and you're waiting for it to go off the rails. Now, Season 2 had a couple of moments where it did. Of course, there's the singing episode where it was silly, which was not as bad as I expected it to be honest, but it's still ridiculous. And the thing is, when you have a series that has 10 episodes per season. If you got that and a Lower Decks episode and another joke episode, you've got like 30% of your episodes are joke episodes. It's a big problem, and you really don't have enough space to do that. This is not like a 26 episode season like we had back in the day. And so there's my problems with it. And then the guy who they cast to play Captain Kirk, or Lieutenant Kirk in this rather, is also ridiculous. And they should have never shoehorned in that character at this point. So he just like is showing up on the Enterprise all the time. It's like, please stop. Those are my main critics for the things. Now, season 2 did have a woke moment where they took Christine Chapel, who's actually the breakout character of the show. She's the most interesting character. She's the one everybody cares about, I think, just from my opinion here, because she was in the original as Majel Barrett, of course, and really didn't get that much depth to the character back then. This one really does. They really focus on it, and I really like the character. Now, there's one moment in season 2 where they implied, like, as the season plot goes along, which is Spock and her relationship, which is kind of again implied in the original series, and it's interesting to see the ebbs and flows of that here that lead to where Spock ends up being. It's really probably the best part of the show, and then they like give this implication in one episode where it's like it sounds like she just had a lesbian relationship off screen. Now, it wasn't like totally overt. It was kind of an implied sort of like wink wink kind of situation on that level. But it's when they start to do that kind of thing, that a show's like itching to take that next step to really push to the next level. And we've seen this happen before. Like they do the bait and switch now, where they get you invested in a show and get you liking a show, then they go full woke. Now, what I heard, because I've got some Star Trek insiders and the like, is that part of the delays for this season 3, because there's a huge delay between season 2 and season 3 with this whole Gorn situation where they're basically it's the plot of Alien, right? They hatch out of the bodies and then they eat all the people. They're fighting Alien. This is a little more actiony than Star Trek is, right? But this was supposed to be, resolved pretty quickly. But they took a couple year break in between this, and from what I heard, there were actually reshoots done where they actually came down and said, we need to actually remove the woke elements we were going to put into season 3, and we're going to do some reshoots and things like that. Now, this has not been confirmed anywhere, but this is what I've heard from behind the scenes that was happening. And so maybe that occurred here, and maybe they decided to take this a new direction, because this is very, very shocking. Now, part of the big episode deal here is Captain Pike's got a girlfriend who's captain of another ship, and they have a very well done relationship here. And at the end of the last season, she was on a planet, and she actually got infested by the Gorn, and they're going to hatch out of her. And Pike's like, asking Nurse Chapel to save her, and she's like, just kill me so we don't, risk the crew. And it's a big thing that built up over last season and this season's episode. So this season episode had a big plot where Spock and Nurse Chapel were trying to come up with a way together to solve this, as the Doctor is off on is stuck in the Gorn ship. So this is what built up right here. And the entire episode, they kept saying, like, again, you're just sitting here going, this is very un-Spock and un-Star Trek-like. But they keep saying, have faith, as a theme that recurs throughout the episode, right? And so even though things look the darkest, you just have to have faith. Now, as a generic sort of thing, that doesn't mean a ton. But what it builds at the end of, I guess, spoilers at this point, at the end of this, as it goes in, and Pike gets desperate because like they haven't heard whether she's successful or not. He sees her, his girlfriend here, passed out on her bio bed or whatever, and he looks up and he says, "You win," and he's clearly talking to God, and which is interesting because it's like, whoa, this is Star Trek, what? Especially modern Star Trek, this is wild. And he drops to his knees and starts saying, "Our Father who art in heaven." And I go, whoa, I can't believe this is happening for real. I mean, this is way based. And when he does, she wakes up, comes back, and they have a tender moment and embrace. So the have faith theme came through it. He then drops and actually does a Christian prayer, and Captain Pike established as a Christian in the Star Trek universe. Now, this is not out of character for Star Trek, especially when you go back to the original series. If you don't know about the series episode Bread and Circuses from season 2, they actually have this whole situation where they think it's sun worship, like the astral object, and then Spock at the end of it like realizes, oh, it's sun worship, SON, like the Son of God. And they actually have this nice moment where they acknowledge that, like, this is the progression of culture that you're supposed to have, is the worship of the Son of God, and this is something that transcends humanity. And Spock acknowledges it. Kirk acknowledges it. This was a very, again, just overt Christian moment within Star Trek that actually, again, plays very well with this thematically and works thematically here. Now, there was another reference to, of course, faith and the like in a positive manner in Star Trek. In the third season, the episode The Empath, they actually quote this verse Psalms. It's Psalm 95, verse 6. I don't know why I remember this, but I do. And so Star Trek has a history of doing this. It just got abandoned, of course, in the 90s sort of iteration. The Next Generation really didn't touch on that at all or get into depth with characters really at all. Deep Space Nine did in terms of the Bajorans, and the Bajoran faith was very prominent in that as an alien faith. But and so it kind of came back to it on that level, at least with some characters having some natural progression in that front. But the original series and now Strange New Worlds has this overt Christian message, which is pretty wild and cool to see. So I am thrilled by this, and I encourage the producers to pursue this more. Of course, really add this to Captain Pike. If the people at Simon & Schuster want somebody to write some Star Trek novels, I can help you out. And exactly, I'd love to delve into Captain Pike's faith in a book. Oh my gosh, how cool would that be? But I know that probably never going to happen. But I am writing my own Star Trek stuff. If you like my analysis on fiction, if you like my analysis on Star Trek, I really think you'll like my science fiction books, guys. So please grab the newsletter, get it on here, get your 3 free books, and of course, don't lose me for when I come out with Valiant Frontiers. If you like this kind of thing, you are going to love my series. Absolutely love my series. Yeah, get in that in the description below and check out my books. Let me know what you think about this. Are you hopeful for Star Trek? Do you have faith in Star Trek now? Or do you think this is out of line for Star Trek? Love to hear from you. Please leave that down below and hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.